Before we get into today's video, I just want to talk about the importance of being safe when building a fire. I built my fire onto a paving slab, so it was nice and clear on video exactly what I was doing, and it was clear for you to see as a viewer. The fire was built just for the purpose of the video, and it was extinguished the second I stopped filming, so it didn't get too large and the risk of spreading was minimised. I also had a bucket of water on standby to make sure that I could put it out straight away if needed. At home, you need to be making sure that you're building your fire either into a barbecue or into a fire pit. This will minimise the risk of it spreading for you, and it is good practice to have a bucket of water as well. Also, you need to be making sure that you've got adult supervision, and if you are to hurt yourself in any way, to burn yourself, make sure that you're running under cold water for at least 10 minutes. I hope you enjoy the video. Right, hello and welcome to the First Haven YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be doing the backwards cooking badge and showing you how to light a fire. So when building a fire, the most important thing is to have the correct wood ready. So you need a good wood pile before you start. You can't just go from nowhere, and you need to sort your wood pile into small logs or twigs and then slowly working their way up in size until you've got nice larger bits. To start my fire off, I'm also going to be using paper because that burns really nice and quickly, and then I will slowly build up to the larger logs. So the shape of the fire I'm going to be building is a pyramid because that's my personal favourite, that's the one I always go to. There is lots of other ones out there, but for me pyramid is the best. So at the heart of your pyramid is where you put your paper. So with the paper, it needs to be nice and screwed up into a ball, but you don't want to do a really tight ball because otherwise there's no air in there, it won't light. So a nice loose ball in the centre. I will use a couple of bits of paper just so it's not going to burn out too quickly. Now we've got our heart of the fire, we can start building around it with our smallest twigs. Okay, so the fire is now nicely assembled. We can see that I've got quite a bit of wood on there, but there's still gaps all the way around where the air can get to the fire, which means the fire can breathe. If we have no gaps, oxygen won't get to the flames, which means they will just extinguish. I've left myself a slightly larger gap just around the side here, which is where I can light from. I've also got my wood pile to the side, still nice and ready, so when it's lighting, when the wood starts to burn through, I can keep feeding it. So now we've got it assembled, we can now light our fire. So once you've struck the match, let it catch a little bit, and then you want to set fire to the paper because that's what will catch fire quickest, and then that will set fire to the wood around it. So now we've got some nice larger flames, we can see that our wood is starting to catch fire. And now we've got the little twigs on, you do want to keep feeding it to start with, but there's no rush. You don't want to overcrowd it. You've got to let the wood actually catch fire first, because otherwise, again, you're going to block out all the oxygen and it's going to go out. When you're putting more wood on as well, you want to be nice and delicate. You don't want to be chucking the wood on, otherwise you're just going to collapse the fire, and again it will cause it to go out. When lighting fires, it's all about taking care of them. Be patient, don't rush it. Only put wood on when it needs it. Don't overcrowd it, but also don't starve it. So now we've got some nice flames on there, I'm now going to start, once that burns through, I'm going to start putting on some slightly larger twigs, which means they'll take a bit longer to burn. They'll stay light for longer. As you can see, while I'm putting the twigs on, I'm still building them up in that pyramid shape, because that means you'll get a nice hot core in the middle. And then if you were to cook on the fire later, that's nicely protected. So once the fire dies down, you'll have a nice hot centre, which you'd then call them embers, which is what you'd want to cook on. Right, so now there's quite a lot of wood on there. I can now leave that for a few minutes and that will start to burn through. And then when the wood around the outside starts to go a bit blackened, that means it's starting to burn through, and then you can keep feeding it. So now, as you can see, you've got the wood around the outside. They're starting to go nice and black. I can now go to my even larger pile of twigs, some quite large ones, and start putting them on. These should hopefully stay light for a little bit longer, which means you won't have to feed it as often once you've got a few on there. Okay, so unfortunately our camera did die, but all I've done in the meantime is I kept putting on some larger logs and let them burn through. This has only been about 2 or 3 minutes. So as you can see, these larger logs around the sides that were put on, they're now starting to burn through. At this point, you just keep feeding it with the larger logs. You can slowly get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then once you're ready, you can let it die down a little bit, and then it's perfectly ready to cook on. However, I'm going to leave it here for today. If you would like to see me cook on a fire, then let me know in the comments. If you thought this video was helpful, then please leave a like, it would mean a lot, and make sure you are subscribed to see the next videos for scouting at home. See you next time. Pack dismissed.